this week, and I am so broke. I spent so much money on this thing trying to chase down these super rares because there's some fun stuff. I did manage to grab or pull the Starfire, the pink Lantern Wonder Woman, and the Black Lantern Superman. So those are pretty cool. I did that first night go out and buy the power battery, because that thing I already know is going to be devastating. That thing is going to have a huge effect on the game. So I was like, I saw that for $40, and I was like, ooh, somebody does not know what this thing is going to... No, somebody who doesn't play the game is selling this thing. And I was like, yes. So I bought that like right away. Yeah, of all of the Black Lanterns and stuff like that, I really think the most useful ones are going to be the Superman and the Wonder Woman. The Superman's power is while he's active, beginning of each turn, each player loses life equal to the highest level of the character they control. So that's just guaranteed damage. And if you have a way to prepare for it that your opponent's not well ready for, with like some life gain or with some like ability to spin up your opponent's characters, you have a way to make that just crazy direct damage with little, I guess some effort, because it's a 7 cost to bring out, and it's a character that can be KO'd, and who knows what else other stuff you can do. The Wonder Woman, I think. Let's not forget the Superman's got that global that if you can get your 4 types of energy, you can get a bonus generic energy. Granted, that works for your opponent too, but I think with like Professor X, you shouldn't have a problem rolling that type of all 4 of each energy, or 1 of each energy, to gain that bonus. Wonder Woman is kind of cool. She moves a character into your reserve pile, a non-Black Lantern character into the use pile, and if you can't, you take 2 damage. And I know you can move your opponent's character, so there's like sneaky stuff you can do. And it's kind of just some semi-targeted. I think it might be targeted, but just some elimination. It's not the best. I just really am not blown away by the Aquaman's special ability, where you can take stuff on the use pile and put it back on the card. Because that, if your opponent can just keep stuff out of the use pile, they can get around it. I was chatting with Derek, and he pulled that Aquaman at our sealed event, and I was like, well, you could run that with that Magneto that always goes to your prep area every time it leaves play, so you could just keep doing that. And then the Batman's, oh man, I don't remember exactly what it does. I just remember saying, wow, that's a thing. Oh yeah, it deals damage to you each time you buy, I want to say a non-Black Lantern character. But like at that point in the game that you get Batman out, no one should be buying anything. That's just going to clog your bag. You want to cycle through your stuff fast. In fact, you want to get stuff out of your bag. So you're even fielding those pawns just to get rid of them. So it's like, if you could somehow get them out earlier, I'd be like, yeah, it's a really cool power. But other than that, not impressed by that power. Don't get me wrong. As soon as that full art Batman Black Lantern art comes down to like a reasonable price, I'm totally buying that, because I'm a giant Batman nerd, and I must have that full art version of the card. Yes. So we've had both a sealed and a draft at my venue that I judge at. Man, this kid Reed, this kid is lucky, because he pulled a Black Lantern Batman that first night, and then a Black Lantern Superman during the draft. So it's like, man, he's got the... I play HeroClix with him too, so he's got the mega luck. So, congrats to you, Reed. You pull amazing. There was a couple of calls that I kind of ruled wrong at one of the events, and that's really what prompted this whole thing. I was like, I gotta apologize for those things. First of all, I ruled big entrances wrong. It does not stack. There's like a little bitty line at the end of that mountain of text that says, hey, no matter how many dice you use. So you cannot stack big entrance. Which is okay, because don't get me wrong, I totally love big entrance. I really like it's really a first couple of turns. Like by turn 5, you should never want it as an action. It's just grab some stuff really fast. It's a really fast couple of first turns accelerator thing. But other than that, if you buy anything later on, it's just going to clog your bag up, and you're not going to be able to cycle the stuff that you want back. What I really like about Big Entrance is pairing that with the Global from Resurrection, or I guess if you're playing villains, you know, Villainous Pact, because it's like first turn buy Big Entrance. I keep wanting to call it Big Action. I apologize. So I'm like focusing on my mental power to say Big Entrance. First turn buy a Big Entrance and put that in your bag, and then use the Global. And so next turn, you're guaranteed to roll that Big Entrance. If you don't use the Global, then you got 4 out of 5 chance. You have an 80% chance of rolling it next turn. But I mean, so if you feel the need to Professor X Global instead, you have a reasonable chance of pulling it. But like it's just a guaranteed chance. And I love it because second turn you're rolling that Big Entrance and your 4 energy. So you have a chance of, you know, buying a 5 cost for 1 less with the Big Entrance's power and putting it straight into your bag, or you can buy a 6 cost, you know, if you roll generic energy on accident, or what I really want to use it for a team on, where you have a couple of 3 costs hanging around. So it's like, you know, second turn Big Entrance, take 2 of those 3 costs that I need, throw them in my bag. So next turn I'm guaranteed to roll them. So I really like that power. Beginning of the game, I see no reason to want anything but energy for it afterwards. I didn't have to roll this way, but I didn't have like a definite answer. But what happens if you had 2 vicious struggles out in the same turn? Vicious struggles in action that you play it, and until your next turn, if your opponent does any damage to you, you deal back an equal amount, unless it's from vicious struggle, you know, to prevent some crazy loop going on like that. I could not tell if it's stacked or not. Everything in my heart and my brain says that it's not intended to stack, but just because that's not how it's intended doesn't mean that's not how it's ruled. And I can't find anything that specifically said, hey, does this thing stack or this thing doesn't stack? I threw it up on Reddit really fast. I got 2 responses, 2 contradictory responses, and from very knowledgeable people. I believe both of them are from the reserve pool. I think one is Dave from the reserve pool, and the other one is Necromancer. He's got a bit on the reserve pool. So I was like, and one said no, one said yes, and I guess I'm gonna rule no. Like, you can't stack it until I hear otherwise, because yeah, I don't think it was intended to stack, because I really like this card a lot too. I think that's gonna show up a lot in like high level play, because it just messes with tempo. Like if you know your opponent's gonna like buy like a big ol' Hulk or something like that, and then polymorph that in that turn, you know, and then come at you, or like especially if they prep the polymorph that turn before, and you're like, oh no, and you roll it, you're like, yeah, because they polymorph that Hulkling and try to clear your board, and then try to come at you for some damage, they're gonna take the damage back. And of course, if they're up on life, that's not a big deal to them. But if you can stall them a turn, so that polymorph, you know, they have to use that action their turn, so that just goes to their use pile, or, you know, that slows them down a turn. That gives you a chance to make a super offense. I expect Big Entrance to make a splash, and it's going to be one of those actions that I think if your opponent brings it, you better buy it. So make sure you grab as many of those as possible. It's like polymorph, or it's like Power Bolt, or I guess Gearing Up back in the day, or you know, you want to buy them if your opponent brings them, because your opponent is definitely depending on them for making your deck work. I had this one that I'm 90% sure I ruled right, but I still have this like pit in my gut because I don't think it just seems sketchy. But Parallax's Global, which you pay a generic energy and you can reroll any of your dice, which is, you know, that's the errata, any of your dice before your attack step. Well, I had an instant come up where someone had rolled a dice that had the 2 energy on it, and he wanted to know if he could spin down his energy, just pay a generic energy to roll that dice. And I'm like, I ruled yes, because the rulebook specifically says you can spin down an energy, a double bolt energy, to and leave a single bolt in your reserve pool. Like, if he had tried to do that with like the 2 generic energy from an action, I'd been like, no, that's totally not how that works. Sorry, Charlie, but no, he was able to do that. He was able to roll the character face that he wanted and filled it that turn. I think it made a huge difference in the game, but it just seems sketchy that you'd be able to use Parallax's Global on the cards you spent the energy on. But as far as the rulebook says, you should be able to do it. So I like I said, it just doesn't seem right, but it feels kind of sketchy to me. I get to judge a lot, but I got to play this weekend at Dragon's Lair's Rainbow Draft, and I actually won that. It was we drafted DC, and I've listened to enough Reserve Fold podcasts to know that if you get that uncommon Firestorm, you go Bolts. And I got the uncommon Firestorm in my first pack of 6, and then I got the common Firestorm in my second pack of 6, and I'm like, oh, well, I totally know what's going to happen. So I just started drafting all the Bolts I got. I got really lucky because someone passed me both like an uncommon Cheetah and a common Cheetah. Someone passed me both a common Red Tornado and an uncommon Red Tornado. I got past that Captain Cold that you have to pay an energy to attack, and I'm like, yeah. So eventually I just made a great Bolt team. And then I used my big entrance Resurrection combo. I mean, like first turn big entrance Resurrection. Second turn I'd get that Firestorm in my bag. Third turn I'd field that Firestorm, maybe buy Red Tornado if I could, and then after that it's just a matter of cycling. Red Tornado, his uncommon's got this great trait, where you can if you draw three or more sidekicks during your clear and draw phase, you can throw them all into your use pile and draw 4 more. And the cool thing about that is because you throw them in your use pile, it's not spent, so it goes straight to your use pile so that you can keep cycling them to make sure you get cards you want. Yeah, there's quite a bit of rules. I just got a message from Cody. It's a fun game, and once you get past the rules, there's some tricky stuff, and people complain about the rules, and I like to give the analogy because I had played Magic around like 3rd and 4th edition, so I like to give the analogy to Magic is like Magic in its first 2 years was not as clear-cut rules as they have now. 20 years later? I mean, it took them a while to get where they're going, so I like to give WizKids the benefit of the doubt to like smooth over some of these rule things. During the draft we had, one of my players joked, he was like, I've got 2 Atom cards, and they both have the same effect, spinning up and down, but one calls it leveling up, the other one calls it spinning up, and it's just like little things like that. I wish it was a little bit more consistent, hopefully we can get some stuff together. But yeah, I won a Rainbow Draft, I won the Rainbow Draft weekend. I was able to get that really awesome Joker, even though he's kind of a useless card, but he looks so cool. It's that beautiful Alex Ross art. It's spectacular. And then the Batmobile and the Iron Fist. That's really what I was doing there. I was trying to run both. My niece plays HeroClix, Dice Masters with me. She wants to play HeroClix, but she never got into it. And I dragged her onto that event, so thinking that if it was going to be like a Marvel draft and a DC draft, I could draft one, she could draft the other, and I could get both of the participation prizes. But luckily, there wasn't enough turnout, so we just did straight to everyone got all the stuff, the participation prizes. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. It said it was my first Dice Masters victory, and I was like, yeah, well, I judge all the time, but thanks, WizKids, I'll take that in the WES. Oh yeah, we had in our Warlight Sealed, the team that had pulled that super rare power battery, they won. Look to that card. That card is definitely that's going to show up a lot in competitive play because. Sure, you block, you still take a damage. That lets you get some things going on. I'm super excited for the announcement of the Pro Dice Circuit. It's something like a ROC for people who play HeroClix, but for Dice Masters. I think it's definitely going to bring a new level of competitive play because con season is over, and we've got no way really to judge upcoming metas and stuff like that, other than just your local meta. But that's not really going to really give us a flavor because the last Worlds we had, I mean, that was still barely Justice League. I mean, we didn't have any Age of Ultron, and we got War of Light. And both of those have some really neat cards that I'd like to see what's going on. I mean, Jocasta, Super Jocasta made some noise. Zombie Magneto, made some noise. So I wanted to see what impact they would have. There's some really awesome stuff in the Royal Light. I like the unblockable Batman if you use a basic action. Especially if you're running with like Lex Luthor or Baron Zemo to cycle those actions pretty fast. There's of course the power battery. I was reading something today on Reddit where someone pointed out that the rare power ring is almost makes super cheetah out of all your energy, and they put a really good article. They put a link of a bunch of team builds that they made. Unfortunately, I was at work, so I really shouldn't have been looking at it. But I did glance and got like a pretty good details on this. Speaking of like high-level competitive play, I'd like to hype my event that I'm hosting at Mothership Books and Games on November 8th. It's in Austin, Texas. So if you're in the Central Texas area and you have a chance to come down there, I highly recommend it. It's the first Sunday of November. I wanted to get it in before everybody started traveling for the holidays and stuff like that. But essentially, it's $10 to get in, and it gets you registered for 2 different events. The first one, starting at 2, is Constructed. It's going to be like 3 rounds of Swiss, and then we'll cut to a top wherever, depending on how many people show up. That will be, best of 3 for the Swiss rounds, and then best of 3, I guess, in the later rounds, depending on how many people show up. And the price for that is going to be some alternate art Zarina. So, like, if you haven't got one yet and you want a really pretty one, you should totally come to this event. On a side note, like, starting at 3 is a Little Cup event, or Popper, or whatever you want to call it. That's just commons and starter cards only. It's I staggered it, so if you feel you didn't do well enough in the first event, you can still play the second one. But it is totally not a loser's bracket. I've heard people call it that, and I'm like, no, dude, it's for people who want to have a good time and play, and not have to worry about facing Gabi's Arena, whatever garbage malarkey. That's the the old meta, because nobody really knows what the new meta is. So, and I got a really good price for that too. So if you want to play and you're kind of intimidated by like the super mega competitive thing, you should come play Little Cup or Popper. I will totally hook you up. I got a really good price for that one too. So while we were playing our game last stream, me and Joe were talking about how Robot Pool Party, we're probably going to put that on a hiatus. Robot Pool Party is our geek culture show, where we just kind of talk about the geek news and our spin on geek news and stuff like that. We play it, or we usually record it after playing HeroClix on a Friday night. So, I mean, I work a boring desk job. Joe judges the HeroClix events. So if it's like a long night, or if we had like a really big event or something like that, just like we're just not in the mood to record. I'm hoping that we could still record at Dragon's Lair, because I liked the idea of recording in Dragon's Lair. I thought it gave us more geek cred. Hey, look, we're recording in a comic book store. And maybe if we switch it to like a Monday or something like that when it's quieter, and it's a little bit, there's a little less stuff going on, we'll be able to get, stuff going, get stuff going on. It'll be more chillaxed. I'm super excited because after a couple weeks hiatus, we're going to be back to playing HeroClix with Joe on Thursdays. Me and Joe, we just kind of like having nice, relaxed games. It's fun to get away and just play for fun. I really like the concept of like meta HeroClix, and I've been thinking about it a lot and just doing a lot of thought exercises. But sometimes it's just fun to play stupid stuff and have a good time. I'm pretty excited about this Thursday because it'll be the first time live streaming these games. We'll be playing about 5 o'clock Central Standard, so what, 6 East Coast, and then 4 and 3 for our Mountain and California time zone people. Yeah, it's gonna be 300 points, just chillax. I've made a 300-point animal team based on Spider-Ham. Let's see. Over Labor Day weekend, I got to play in my first ever ROC. It was in Houston. I made this really awesome team, and then I promptly forgot a very important piece back home. So I was like, "Yay, go me!" But yeah, the team that luckily my friend Luke let me borrow some pieces, and it a team that I very closely made in my head, or very considerately. I had made a very similar team early on, and I didn't have a chance to practice it, so I didn't really go for it. But a team that I brought together, or Luke helped me make, was the movie Age of Ultron Hulk for 250. Jewel at 25 points, where she's got the outwit and the thing. The team that I had considered running was Atomica instead of Jewel. You know, just give me that super prob. But Jewel is Avengers keyword, so I had 2 theme probs. And then Hulk, of course, is a giant, so he can carry her around everywhere she needs to be. To finish it up, I had a Purple Lantern battery with the bulldozer and with the stop sign, and I had enough for a 5-point Captain America ID card. And I was using the Steve Rogers, the Nova Corps Steve Rogers, as my call-in. I did. Well, let's see. The first game was miserable. I literally forgot everything that I needed to forget. I forgot that I could create knockback. I forgot that I had plasticity. I forgot that I had giant reach. I forgot that Hulk even got those tokens. Yeah. And it was a pretty embarrassing. Yeah, it was but I did have a good second game. Semi-good second game. I played way better, but my opponent's dice just copped out of him. Like at one point, he needed like a 4 and rolled a 3. It was pretty cool. Hi Clifford. Thanks for logging on. I actually just reviewed a couple of cards for More Lights and told their opinion about them just a few minutes ago. Yeah, I totally like that Lantern battery. I totally like Big Entrance when you pair it with the Resurrection Global. And what else was I chatting up? Oh, Vicious Struggle. It's another. So like 2 basic actions are fantastic. I think they're going to have a huge impact on the game, and definitely that's super rare, man. If you pulled it, congratulations. If you can grab it for cheap, I totally recommend it. Getting back to my ROC for my HeroClix homies. My third game, I thought I played the best, and what is it? The Metafix, they always say that practice makes your team better, and it's true. And the more time you play, the better you get. And so, like, of course, I'm on my end game. I'm doing excellent. My game came down to like I didn't KO any of his fingers, but they were on their last breaths, and I get to a point where I'm about to smash the last guy, hopefully take him out. He was an 18, or sorry, I would have needed to roll an 8 because he had combat reflexes, or if I took the turn to move Jewel, I could have outwitted his combat reflexes and rolled a 6. But if I moved her, I wouldn't be able to use Theme Prop. And I was like, well, you know what? I want that 6. That 6 is going to be easier to hit. So I moved her, I would have combat reflexes, and rolled a crit miss. That crit miss rolled him on Hulk onto his last stop click. And that cost me the game because he just outwitted my defense and killed me. Had I rolled anything but that crit miss, you know, if I'd missed in any other way, I would have been fine because he would have hit me on my stop click. I would have pulled off 6 tokens, regen with my top dial, and then hopefully gone through to town on the rest of his team. But yeah, if I just stayed there and said, well, I've got theme prob, let's get lucky. There's a judge at another venue who he keeps saying he'd rather be lucky than good. So, you know, and I was good instead of lucky. I did the strategically sound method and lost in the end. My fourth game was against my friend Luke, and my friend Luke had been trying to get his team to work like the way he designed it all day long, and it finally worked on me, and he just ate my lunch. It was ridiculous. It was like over in maybe, I'm going to say 7 minutes, because 5 minutes might be too generous to me, but like definitely not 10 minutes long. He just destroyed me. But yeah, I really like that ROC, so I really like that ROC. I hope to do more. I thought I'd tell you about the team that I intended to play. I had first thought about holding off it because I was able to get together to do, or get stuff together so I could do the Rocktober, or the World Cup in And there's one final qualifiers that Friday before, and I was like, well, you know what? If I can bring this team, and hopefully can catch people some off guard, and I can do some stuff. But then people started bringing Copycat to counter Prime Hawk, and I'm like, oh no, because Copycat unintentionally counters my team. So my team is based off of Shatterstar. Like, I was really surprised that when they announced that WAX would stay. So I was looking through some of the old WATX characters that I thought I would never have to see again. And I was like, you know what? There's some exploitive stuff I could be doing with Shatterstar. All I need is somebody of a lower point value, you know, that he can port over. Somebody just kind of gross, you know, see who's coming to the game since then. Of course, one of the sickest ones is the Chase Greed from Trinity War. Yeah, there we go. Because, one, he can bring an item in from outside the game, you know. Two, he's got the special mind control, where if he mind controls you and the opponent ends up next to him, you can, you know, give him 2 action tokens. And, you know, he's got combat reflexes, so when they end up next to you, it's even harder for them to hit, you know, if they do eventually clear. And I was going to throw on the Omega Drive, because he gets that relic for paying cost, so that was a no-brainer. I mean, that's been done before. I threw on Ion because I wanted both the starting Outwit and Impervious, because he didn't have any reducers, and then I can increase his range and his defense to buff him up to an 18, so when we're next to him with close combat expert, it's a 20. So, yeah, it totally, you know, that was my job, port over. I was going to run the Red Lantern battery. I was going to put the stop sign on Greed, so that he got plasticity, so if he can mind control somebody next to him, they ain't getting away. You know, they got to clear next turn. I'm going to penetrating poison, and then I'm going to mind control them again. You know, and just keep doing that so that they're stuck there. Hopefully take a shot at somebody. If they're adjacent to me, I can shoot somebody out or punch somebody next door, you know, one of their characters. And, you know, mind control, you know, just keep them tokened up. You know, and then this is where it kind of seems similar to that Eastern Brox team, because I use that Starfire, the Coriander. She's so good for 100 points. So, like, using her was a no-brainer. I put the, of course, Greed's Relic on her to give her sidestep. I didn't really, I guess she would kind of, in a highly competitive team, be perplexing people down. And, you know, so that is possible. But really, for the sidestep, I would give her the Bulldozer so she can use knockback with any of her attacks, you know. And if Shatterstar lived, because his main job was just to be delivery method, but if he lived, then I was going to give him the decoy so that Hillfleet can be around and give extra penetrating damage. You know, I really like this team because if I can place right with my first teleport over, with my only teleport over, I think I could really wreck stuff up because, you know, he can outwit stuff that he can't normally outwit. So, like, crazy stuff like Gluttony's defensive power, outwitted, you know. If someone rolled an Arcade and got Arcade's Island, Murder World, you know, his special defensive power says it can't be ignored. It doesn't say it can't be countered because he gets Power Cosmic, you know, they just assume that it would be covered. But with Omega Drive, I'll be able to counter that, poison him, you know, and that's where he gets his special. That defensive power covers all of his defense, where he can't take damage from poison. You know, if he takes damage, he gets popped. He only takes 1, and he gets popped over from other things. All that's covered in that defensive power. So 1 outwit, and that's gone. That's gone. It's totally gone. So yeah, I really like that. I think with careful placement, with the whole Nick Fury Fitz teams, if I can kind of block Fitz's line of fire, you know, so he can't really, you know, put Nick Fury anywhere, I have a really good chance of taking out Superman Nick Fury. I'm just looking at some of the important teams that were meta about 2-3 weeks ago. I think I had a really good chance against them. Like, definitely, just since for Ragnarok, I would have had a really good chance against them. So, yeah, but I'm building a new team for that. I've been chatting with Luke, you know, kicking around ideas. I just found out today that Luke will possibly be going to the ROC event, the World Cup. Why am I brain farting? So that's pretty exciting because this dude makes mad scientist teams. I actually will be putting up a video sometime this week of early variation of the team that he played for that ROC that I was talking about, and you'll be like, that's crazy genius. And so keep an eye out on him. I think he's going to make some waves. Now, he just moved to Houston to go to law school, which puts him smack dab in the middle of Team Ragnarok territory. So I think if he starts somewhere with those dudes and they start chatting stuff up and they start getting his mad scientist vibe going on, like, you're going to be seeing a lot with this kid in the future. So, like, just be like, oh, yeah, that guy. But, yeah, so I would love to play my team. Unfortunately, I just think with Copycat, and you only need to keep an eye on Copycat, because Copycat has got some... She messes up some neat stuff. She can grab that Scarlet Witch, that a lot of people have been using. She can grab Fitz, and because of the way timing works out, she grabs Fitz and keeps their Henry. So even if the effect wears off, they still have a Henry. You don't get your Henry back, and I like that. That's pretty cool right there. Of course, she's made to grab Prime Hawk. I don't think... I guess we need a couple more rocks to know for sure, but I just don't see Prime Hawk making an appearance, or making a strong appearance. I need to get confirmation of this, but if she can take vehicles, all of a sudden that 70-point Quinjet tech that was just popularized with Easton's team was a rock win like 2 weeks ago, like, they're like, nope, that's my jet. I guess we need a ruling on that. I can't say for certain if that works or not, but if that does, that's just like, nope, jet for you. Yeah. So yeah, keep an eye on Copycat. I think her stock just rose, and this is going to keep getting bigger and brighter as we go from a really big team or really big characters to a more main character with supporting characters. I think the ability to jack up some supporting characters is really good. Oh yeah, one more thing before I go, I'd like to hype another one of my projects. Me and Hunter from Weapons Grade Tabletop are doing a podcast, Matt vs. Hunter. It's all about the whole new Versus card game, or a living card game, or a 2-player card game, because it's not technically, since living card games, a trademark of Fantasy Flight. But anyway, yeah. I'm about to edit and put up episode 4, and it's about roughly our 6th and 7th game Versus we've been playing. We like to meet up before HeroClix on Friday and play the game just to see what's going on. Yeah, so if you're kind of interested in the game, trying to see what it's like, I really like how it's of course a 2-player card game, so it's not collectible. So all the cards are right there, including the best cards of the games. Totally like that, because I only dropped like $60 to get the whole thing, all of them, and a player set too. Like I know with Fantasy Flight's game, there was a problem where you had to buy like 2 starters to get going, but this is like, nope, everything you need, get going, awesome. But yeah, we're Matt vs. Hunter. We have a Facebook page, Matt vs. Hunter, so you should like that. I'm working to get it up on iTunes. Hopefully soon it'll be up there. So yeah, so let's see. I guess some quick card reviews. I guess for Cliff. I totally like the uncommon and rare Lysidrax. The uncommon, like, it helped me hold off my opponent quite a bit, because it's got a power at the beginning of your turn. Name a character. If your opponent wants to field that character, they have to pay 2 life. So it's like they have to decide if they want to pay 2 life or field the character, and it's just something to think about. I did have great luck with the rare. When she attacks, you may draw one of your opponent's dice, and then if you want to, you can swap it with a die in his use pile or put it back in the bag. So like, if someone, and they just filled their bag with something gross, you have a good chance of not a good chance, you have a chance of grabbing that and maybe swapping it with a pawn. Sit down that use paper pile, make them empty that bag once again and get that going. Other stuff, I have played that uncommon fatality twice. The one where if you have 3 lightning bolts in your reserve pool, when you field her, she does 3 damage to your opponents. I haven't been able to get her on a good bolt team, so I never had the bolts to really do damage. To see how that goes, but hopefully in constructed, get a better chance to look at. I really like the starter set Lex Luthor, the 3-cost shield that if you have more life than your opponent, you get to roll an additional die at the beginning of your turn. Uh, like theoretically, first turn you buy him, you fill it upon attack, and if you can roll him and get him out there, you can start taking rolling 4 or 5 dice each turn. 5 dice each turn. That's brutal. That's really brutal. I mean, we saw how just prepping the dice with a Resurrection or a Villainous Pact made a huge difference in gameplay. So yeah, I really like that. Yeah, other than off the top of my head, I haven't really had a chance to really play with Warlight. I do want to do something with that Superman somehow. The Black Lantern Superman. I do want to maybe do something with the Black Lantern Wonder Woman. Mainly because I'm a Wonder Woman fan, and she just has not been represented right in Dice Masters. So it's like, give me a Wonder Woman that can punch faces in. So that's just me trying to do stuff. Well, I mean, I guess I got my cards really fast. Keep an eye on that rare Starfire. The one that makes it impossible to target Teen Titans or masked characters. That thing could be really sneaky because there's so much of the targets, and if you can't target it, sorry. I guess along the same lines, I like the common Wonder Girl for almost the same reason, because if you target a Teen Titans character, she gets to change a new target, so it's like, I totally like that going on. Quick glance. Rare, the elephant guy, that when he fields, he copies a red fielded effect, so that's just some neat stuff you could do. If you wanted to play against theme, you play a villain team, you play with Deathstroke, the one that does damage for each villain that's on the field, and then you play, what is that dude's name? The elephant guy. But he's a Blue Lantern, so he's a good guy, which you're like, nope, you're going to be evil tonight, so you have an evil elephant wrecking face on people. Brother Worth. Like I said, I like that Batman, the starter set Batman, that if you play a basic action, he's unblockable. I like unblockable tech. I think that's the new big thing. I'm not alone in this opinion. I've heard it from a bunch of other podcasts. Man, when I first saw how awesome that common Elemental Strider or Invisible Stalker, from Dungeons and Dragons, I thought that was amazing. Luke just texted me with the team. Yeah, wow. Or he's texting me with a team idea that we've been talking about earlier on. There's some neat stuff. Keep an eye on this kid. For HeroClix. Oh yeah, he picked up Dice Masters. Like the first time he played it. This guy's just good at games. He picked up Dice Masters and won his event. Here, borrow my deck, and he won that event. He borrowed the deck that I had made. Rare Bleeze, keep an eye on her, because she, when fielded, can KO constructs, which includes that, one, of course, that super rare battery, and 2, that rare lantern ring. So, both of those things, if they're causing you problems, any sort of continuous actions, she can get rid of actions. So, keep an eye on her. One of the Larf Bleezes also gets rid of the constructs. So, I'm sorry, Bleeze gets rid of actions. So any sort of action in the field, if someone's got a Millennium Rod, she's like, nope, get rid of that. Namor, one of the Namors, when he defends, he can get rid of continuous actions, so you can get rid of actions. So that's not very reliable, but so definitely 4-cost Bolt figure Bleeze. She's definitely worth looking at. Jack, this little kid that they're playing, did this sickeningly awesome thing. So he was playing with the common lantern ring that, while active, all your Green Lanterns and Blue Lanterns get +1 attack and defense. Well, that thing get the Green Lantern symbol. So he was also playing with St. Walker, the common that can't attack or block with the 2-cost Fist. They can't attack or block unless you have a Green Lantern active. Well, most people assume that meant character, but no, that meant that counts. That counts for the ring. So he got a really big, because St. Walker's stats are great. He's like a 1-4, a 3-4, and a 5-4. So, like, on his highest level, he's like a 6'5". He got that Lana ring out, and he can attack and block. So it's like, you know, keep an eye on that, because people are just going to assume you mean characters. So, you know, bring out that Green Lantern construct. I didn't have a chance to play Parallax for his global. That's really sneaky. I think that could be a lot of fun. No. Mara, keep an eye on her global, because it's if someone's swinging big beastly dudes on there and you have a mask, you can totally take that 5 or more damage down to 2. So that's pretty cool. I don't know. I haven't really had a chance to really look at stuff, play around with stuff. I've made a Sinestro Corps team, a theme team. I will be playing definitely a Teen Titans team as soon as the Robin OP kit becomes available, because one, it's finally not Damian Wayne art, or it could be Damian Wayne art. I'm not familiar with that panel, but I'm hoping it's actually a Dick Grayson if you're going to be using Dick Grayson stuff. But yeah, I hope that was enough card reviews to get you going. Check me out on Facebook. It's just Heroic Tactics. It's just a TV channel. You should like it and subscribe. I like it. I guess subscribe to me on YouTube if you're not already subscribing to me on YouTube. Twitter. A lot of Twitter stuff I do, and yeah. I never know how to sound these off. There's a podcast that I used to listen to. There's a podcast for HeroClix that I listen to, and they used to sign off by saying, "This is 2 clicks for Kyo, awkwardly signing off." And that was the greatest thing in the world. And they're not using it, so maybe I should just like say, "Hey, look, I'm awkwardly signing off." But that's kind of their bit, and I don't want to steal their bit, because they're a great source for HeroClix information. I listen to them every Monday at the gym, except for this Monday. I don't know why it wasn't out yet. But anyway, yeah, thank you for watching. Please like my YouTube and my everything, and share this with friends. And I hope I was able to give you some neat information. Oh yeah, definitely, if you're in the Central Texas area, come to my event Sunday the 8th for Dice Masters. And I'll totally see you there. And it's right next to a barbecue place, so you just get to smell barbecue the entire time that you're playing.